Fantasy Update here on the Joey Marshall League Network. We have our Fireside Edition tonight, and also a very special guest, Mr. Mike Lai.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Alright. So, with Ryan gone on vacation, gallivanting around to who knows where, Mike, why don't you take us into this week's matchups?
Sure, let's do it. So, match number one, we have matchup of the week. OBJYN, Brett over roommate Zeke Leak, Nick. So Brett dominating just once again, week in, week out. His namesake's not performing, OBJ, but he's really keeping his head in the game and getting the job done as he's been doing week after week.
Of course, another nice win there for Brett. Really kind of establishing himself at the front of the league there. We'll see when the power rankings come out. But next matchup, we have Julio gonna call versus It's Miller time. Julio gonna call gets a win this week, 129.2 to 64 over the defending champ. Big win for Chris there. Julio just put on an absolute clinic. No, not much more to say about this one. I mean, just an absolutely dominating win from Chris. Nice work, bud.
I think it really goes to show you really can't take a week off in this league. No vacations, no time off away from your team. The results really show.
Yeah, 64-point showing. I think that the results are damning there for Ryan. But
so next we have why did I take Golden Tate over Team McMahon? And that's a good question, but Joey really had all the answers this week, chalking up a big win and a close one against James.
Yeah, nice win, Joey getting that close win. Next up, we have Brown versus Board of Education versus Dak and Decker, 122 to 78.4. Man, Mark, again this week, he's got a hell of a lineup. Aaron Rodgers really putting on a clinic this week, and Antonio Brown just doing his thing as usual, getting the Hingle-McCringleberry in there, really perfecting it this year.
Sure.
But yeah, nice win for Mark there. Dak and Decker, my team really just couldn't get it together again this week, so panic time, I'd say, moving forward.
Sure. So the next game we have Ben's Burgers, myself, over Morning Woodhead. So just really proud of my boys this week. I think we're really showing progress and really how to face adversity, having a rough start this season, getting 2 wins in a row. It's pretty big.
Absolutely. Hats off. That was a nice win over Morning Woodhead. He's dealing with some injuries, but he's still got some good guys on that team, so a solid win.
Good team.
And to round out this week's action, we have Christ on a Bike over This Girl Is on Fire. The John battle. John Keller taking him home this week, 112 to 83. Nice win by John Keller. I know he's been kind of the butt of a few jokes here, but way to prove us wrong and keep going. Although, there's something else up there, though, that...
Oh, the team that couldn't put it together, Man City, but that's for another show.
Yeah. All right, moving along, we have this week's power rankings. A little bit of a shakeup at the top here this week.
Ooh.
We have Brett overtaking Ryan for the #1 spot.
Makes sense.
Hard to argue with that one, the way this team's been performing the last few weeks here.
Unstoppable.
Yeah, and we have Ryan at #2, still solid, still squarely in that playoff run, but a definite tumble this week against Chris's team, but I don't think that'll last long.
No, it's
I'm
not
not worried yet. And next up we have Chris. Who are you gonna call? Some might disagree with the choice to put Chris below Ryan, but if you look at week-to-week performance, I'd still say Ryan's on top here, but narrowly. Chris definitely closed that gap in a big way this week.
It's a pain at work, you gotta look at the whole season, not just last week.
Absolutely. And then rounding out our playoff contenders here, we have Mark, Brown versus Board of Education. And then going down the list, teams on the bubble, we have Mike, and then John Keller, Joey Sullivan at #7. #8, we have James. 9, Zeke Leak, Nick. 10, your boy Benny Plus, Dak and Decker. 11, Jerry with Morning Woodhead, and bringing up the rear, This Girl Is on Fire, Team John Brown. Rough season so far. So. Moving along though, we'll set up our game of the week for next week. We have yours truly, Mike, over here against Mark. So we have Ben's Burgers versus Brown versus Board of Education. Well, how are you feeling this week?
He's got some very good players on his team. Aaron Rodgers coming back from a bye, resting that arm, resting his back. I think he's gonna have a good game. But Antonio Brown, really the namesake, going against Ben Berger is the namesake of Ben Roethlisberger. I feel like the two will cancel each other out, and my boys will pick up the slack enough to get the job done.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I think it's definitely going to be a close matchup. I mean, the game that Big Ben put up last week, if he can continue to do that stuff, you're going to win a lot of ball games. So I think it's going to be a QB battle. We got Rodgers going against Roethlisberger. It's going to be fun to watch. All right, stay tuned for a short break here and a message from your league champion, followed by some
Campfire discussion.
Some campfire discussion about the league's playoff contenders. Stick around.
This is Ryan on location at Yosemite National Park. I had to get as far away from Ben as I could since I'm playing him this week. Just wanted to give congratulations out to Chris for his blowout win. I had a long, tough talk with my team, and they said they're going to bring their all in this next matchup, so I think there'll be a different result next week. All right, that's all from here. Back to you, Ben and Mike.
And we're back. More of the fantasy update to come here on the Joey Marsh League Network. We're talking playoff scenarios here.
Favorite time of year.
You know, we're a month into the season. I think there's definitely some teams that have established themselves up top the league and definite playoff contenders. And then there's a whole slew of teams at 2-2 here fighting for that top 4 spot.
Sure.
All right, so let's speculate a little bit. If the playoffs were today,
It's early.
it's early. Don't lose hope for your teams at the bottom of the bracket. Hell, I'm not losing hope. Guys, neither should you. But if the playoffs were to start today, we would have Chris, who you're going to call, versus it's Miller time. Defending champ, Ryan. You know, they just had a big head-to-head matchup this week. Chris came out on top. What do you think?
Man, I really think that Chris's team is going to hold this game over Ryan's head. We'll really need to see how Ryan can face against adversity because, man, Chris's team, he's really hit on a few players. Obviously, Julio Jones, 42 points last week. C.J. Anderson's continual production. But let me tell you what, he's got Le'Veon Bell coming back from the 3-game suspension. He's got Edelman, who's essentially coming back from a 4-game Deflategate suspension. His team's going to look pretty good right now, and it's going to look even better moving forward. So this is a matchup that's going to be fireworks to play that.
I agree. I can't agree more about Chris's team. He's really rounding into form at the right time here. Like you said, Le'Veon Bell coming back. Arguably the best running back in the game right now. Along with superstar Julio Jones, C.J. Anderson's going to put it together, and Edelman with Brady coming back. Like you said, it's going to be interesting to see what his team can do. But hey, you can't count out the league champion here. He's got a solid roster of his own. Drew Brees has really been airing it out this year. Number 2 quarterback in fantasy right now, so he's really leading the team here, along with Marvin Jones, which I don't think people really suspected coming out of this season. I mean, Joey, why did I draft Golden Tate? I guess, dude, you should have drafted Marvin Jones, because he's putting up big numbers.
Sure.
And, I mean, Lamar Miller, I'm sure Ryan's frustrated with his lack of touchdown production here, but, I mean, he has a not standing floor. He's been averaging over 10 points a game.
You can see those catches that you really need.
Absolutely. And with all the running backs going down to injury here, I'd say you got your number 1 pick still in the game. I'd say Ryan's pretty happy with that, I'm sure. But he did lose another big name, Keenan Allen. First game of the season with that ACL, but he still managed to go 3-1, so props to Ryan.
Good job, Ryan.
All right. Our next matchup would be the number 4 seed, Mark, Brown versus Board of Education, versus your new number 1 seed, Brett, Team OBJYN. Now this is a matchup that I think could get really interesting.
Tasty.
Yeah, Mark, he's headlined with superstars Aaron Rodgers and Antonio Brown, emerging wide receiver Will Fuller coming out of nowhere, just dropping touchdowns, long balls and punt returns all over the place. Crabtree, coming off a huge week, you know, he's got some firepower, definitely. He's got a potential to put up a lot of points, but Brett is really just, in my mind, just a step above everyone else right now in the league. His team is absolutely dominating, putting up over 100 points every week. Big games from Julio Jones. And he's got 2 of the top 5 backs in the game, LaShawn McCoy and DeMarco Murray. Both guys you probably didn't think were going to be there coming into the season.
Sure. To me, Brett really shows you it embodies the philosophy of save your dollars in the draft, don't go out and splash too hard, get a good value on those mid-level players. DeMarco Murray, LaShawn McCoy, Matt Ryan, all at the top of their position right now, and all on his team because he was able to save. He's got that good Thompson Reuters training in him, and it really shows off in his performance.
Absolutely, I have to agree with you there. Tremendous value with LaShawn and DeMarco here. In a year that so many running backs are going down, who would have thought that those two, notorious for injury and being injury prone, to be still standing and leading the league?
Sure. Brett's got a good scouting team. I've always said that.
Yeah, definitely a good eye for talent. He's been there in the playoffs almost about every year. You know he's going to be there at year's end. So looking forward to that potential matchup. Some other teams, 2-2. Ben's Burgers might crack that top 4. You've been on a hot streak. It's been looking good, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. We're really looking forward. We take it 1 week at a time. That's what I preach to my dudes. And we're taking on another 2-2 team next week. Brown versus Board of Education. He's got some all-stars. He's in the playoff spot right now, so we're really gunning for him.
Man, that would be a big win. Take down one of the top 4 teams for us. So good luck moving forward here. And for the dreaded John Keller consolation lower bracket runner-up game, our 11 and 12 seeds. I barely scraped by out of this one, but it's a long year still. But month into the season, we have 11 seed Jerry Schaefer, Morning Woodhead versus This Goes on Fire, Coach John Brown bringing up the rear here. What do you think about this matchup moving forward?
Man, some people say that, the EPL has done it right with the relegation if you're the bottom 3 team, but I really think the Joey Marshall League gets it right, offering up the JKCLB RU to the loser. That's an embarrassing trophy, if I'll say so myself. But to get into it, Jerry, from what I see on paper, he's got a great team. He's got Cam Newton. He's got Melvin Gordon, who's hit. He's got Devonta Freeman, who's been a superstar. But man, injuries to AP and Danny Woodhead, that's tough. But he's really my choice to pick it up towards the middle and end of the season. And don't be surprised if he makes a playoff run, Ben.
And I would agree with you. Everything you said about Jerry's team. He's really got some heavy hitters with Cam and Melvin Gordon. Tough luck losing AP and Woodhead there. I mean, just been a devastating year all around, but Jerry's been especially hit hard with the injuries here. I think he's struggling right now, but I think he's making the right moves. I think he's going to lift his team up, and I agree he's going to be a mid-tier guy, at least moving forward, and from then, who knows. But
Sure.
our other team in this matchup, This Girl is on Fire, John Brown, man, just kind of a disappointing season all around. There's not really much you can say about it. Top pick, Todd Gurley, just kind of non-existent so far. One good game in there, but he's having a hard time meshing with his offensive line. The offense isn't clicking, but the team's winning, but the Rams just can't move the ball on the ground this year.
Nope. Some people have a tough time adjusting to the LA lifestyle.
True. The partying in LA will get you. Absolutely. But hey, he's got some other good guys on the squad. Frank Gore, 34 years old, still one of the most consistent backs of the season. Really just doing it for John's team here. I'd say look for Frank Gore to continue to lead the team here, along with Jarvis Landry. He's a really good up-and-coming receiver. Someone I'd love to have on my fantasy team. Lots of catches, getting that PPR value there. I think he's an up-and-coming superstar, and I think it'll show on John's team here.
Sure.
And rounding out today's show, we have a new segment. Different set of power rankings, if you will. Mike and I were discussing, and we thought there were some really cool and creative names in the league this year. So we have a names power ranking. That's, this is the power ranking for this week, but those names can change, guys. So if you want to see your name up on that power rankings board here, get creative, alright? So, starting off this week's power rankings for best name, gotta go to Morning Woodhead. Works on so many levels. Mourning the loss of Woodhead for Jerry. And then Morning Head or Morning Wood. Those are both things too.
I've always
So
said
good.
Jerry's just been the Zen master, man. Really yin and yang. mourning the death of your star player, but still rounding it out with something positive in the end there.
I agree. I agree. And second up, it's been stuck. It's been a name that's stuck for a few years, but I'd say if it's not broke, don't fix it. OBJYN, really just highlighting the star player on his team there, as well as nice play on words there.
Sure. And, really just embodies Brett as a fantasy owner. He just gets down and dirty. He doesn't care, how glamorous it is. He really just gets results and gets wins.
Absolutely. And number 3, Zeke Leak. Love the Petey Pablo reference. Gotta throw it up to Nick there. Creative name. I love it.
He's always a very strong contender for name of the year.
Absolutely. And rounding out this week's power rankings, we have Dak and Decker. I don't know.
I mean, having 2 players on the team but having such a one continuous plan where it's just perfect. It's blue collar. It reflects really your team's attitude. I applaud your effort.
Absolutely.
I think you're going to go very far this year.
I'm glad you picked up on it. It's exactly what I'm trying to go for. I want a blue collar group of guys that works hard to get wins. Now, it's not really reflecting in my season so far, especially with Decker being down with that partially torn rotator cuff, but I like the name. I'm sticking with it. It may change here later on, but for now it's staying the same. And then to kind of cap off our show here, we'll leave you with the worst name. And now this person has 0 creativity. It's been his team name for as long as I've played this kid in fantasy. Just absolutely no effort put into this at all. So we're going to highlight that. Team McMahon, James, absolutely no creativity. Where's the fun in that, man?
Really, James, you can, just throw the keyboard on the ground and stomp around a little bit and you'll get a more creative name than Team McMahon. So,
Absolutely.
If you're really not looking forward to the last praise trophy for your fantasy name, you really got to step it up. And there's room for opportunity. There's room to grow. Just, keep it up and you'll get there.
All right. That caps off our show for this week. Michael, cheers. Thanks for stepping in. It's a pleasure.
Always a great time.
Thanks to you viewers out there for joining us for this fireside edition of Fantasy Update. Stay tuned next week. Ryan will be back into our regular programming. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.